Welcome to day 10 of my Witchtober series. So today I wanted to talk about something that I get asked about kind of semi-frequently-ish, and I feel like it's one of the most searched things. People find my channel based off of this, so welcome to an extremely small list. I do plan to have a more comprehensive one towards the end of the year, but for now, these are I randomly thought through the many books that I have read, keeping in mind I've read like 100 and I think today was 166 books this year. So I've read a lot. I tried last year, and yeah, I read a lot of books, and I have a lot of books, and so I feel a little qualified of what are some good beginner books for witches. So these are 5. They are not in any particular order. They're just some that I recommend because honestly, there's not like the one that you should get. You should read a lot of them. Like, if you can, read all of these and then some. I have so many videos, all of my videos from at least this year in particular is when I implemented the system of a recommended audience. So I will tell you if it is recommended for beginners. And also at the end of the year, I'm trying to compile a mega list of all of the beginner books or books that everyone should read. So yeah, there's a lot of those to come. But for now, we're just sticking with 5. We're keeping it simple and super trendy because everyone likes a top 5 list. Number 1, I am so biased. This was one of my first ones. It is the first book I ever bought, and I love it. And could you guess? It is Scott Cunningham, of course. It's the classic Wicca, A Guide for the Solitary Practitioner. Am I Wiccan? No. But it is a very good foundational book. I find myself going back to it year after year. I won't pick it up for several years and then I'll reread it. I have reread that book probably. It is one of my top 3 most reread books ever because there's just something calm and chill that you just don't find. He was obviously everyone is a unique person, but there's just something that he brought to the craft that is just this calm and gentle and just get back to the basics vibe, and I love that. I'm so tired of these books being like, you need all of these freaking ingredients, you gotta have this very particular tool set, you gotta do all of these steps, and Scott Cunningham was like, yo, could we just like go outside and find some stuff and cast a circle that way and just connect on a beach in California? Like, he was so chill. And so I always come back to that book whenever I just start getting very in my head about things. And again, it's one that I started with. It had a lot of good information. It's still good. He's one of those authors that we still are referencing decades after he's passed. He died like 31 years ago. We still see him constantly. His books, even the one I read today, still had several people referencing to his books because they are classics, they are timeless, they were so well researched, and this is a really good one to start with. The next one's a little more modern. It just had a 20th anniversary edition come out. If you couldn't guess, it is Inner Temple of Witchcraft by Christopher Penczak. Are you shocked for how many times I tried? For the OGs who have been here for many a year, I had tried to get through that book for years. It started in 2015, the first time I met my husband. It wasn't until we got together and then a few years after that that I actually got through that frickin' book. It is a lot. It is a lot, but it's really good. You just gotta be in a place where you're ready to actually do work. That's Penczak for you. And like sometimes you overcomplicate it, but it is a lot of inner work, it's a lot of meditation work, so you're really getting the discipline to the mind first, and it's not the fun stuff. The fun stuff comes in the next book when you get to have your tools and stuff. That one's just to get the discipline, but also it goes through a lot of good information. It's a big book, but if you're wanting like a year and a day study, it's fantastic. It also is hosted online every year. Depending on where you are, there's actually local classes that are offered. There's none here. I think there was one in like somewhere nearby, Arizona, Nevada, California, something, I don't know. There's one, but it was like not Utah, obviously. Why would it be Utah? But his place is based in New Hampshire, so that's way far away. But he does offer it online. Not all of the trainings are online. That one, it does. And I don't know if they even do Outer Temple. They might. But yeah, you can do that one online if you want to, or if you can travel, you could do that too. But yeah, that one's a really good book to get started on your basics, to get a good foundation. He's really good for that, so I highly recommend that one. And if you want to go up the rest of the series, go for it. I'm on to year 3 of his. It's rough. That one you gotta be ready, because like me and my husband call it the Shadow Temple of Witchcraft for a reason. It brings out everything, and it's not even the stuff you're doing. I swear the book is just cursed to be like, hey, you welcomed this in. You're welcome. Because like, oh my god, it brings up everything ever. So just be prepared. That happens with book 3. Book 1 is easy though. It just holds your hand and you walk lovingly through a lot of meditation and the beginner stuff that you should probably know. Next, we have got The Eclectic Witch's Book of Shadows by Deborah Blake. I loved this book. It's short, but also sometimes you get, like, again, if you just picked up Inner Temple of Witchcraft, it's a big book. This is not a big book. It's an easy little quick read, and it's just got a lot of just intro stuff of like, hey, here's this and this and this. It's very easy to read through. She's got a lot of, any of her books are good too. Same with Scott and Christopher. They're all good authors. All of them, you should just read all of their books at some point. They're really good, and Deborah Blake is no exception. Also, this is a fun thing. I haven't ever tried it with the other ones, to be honest. Well, obviously, Cunningham, you'd have to get a Ouija board out, but for like Deborah Blake, I had a question on one of her spells and I sent her a message on Instagram and she answered within like a day. I think sometimes we forget, which is ironic being an author, but it feels like they're on like such a pedestal of like this untouchableness of like, they're so famous, and like they are, like she's a big name in the community, but also she's just like a normal person and will actually answer you. And yeah, it was really cool to have an author answer my question, and it was like, yeah. So I love her for that, but this is a good book, but really any of hers are good to start with too. Next, this one is like a continuing all the time thing, but it is the Llewellyn's Witch's Companion. It is a collection of articles. I today just finished reading the 2025 edition, which is a really good one. If you're watching this in real time and it's October of 2024, you should read that. They are fantastic. All of them are good. You don't have to read the year it comes out. You can go back years. The only thing that gets dated is the calendar at the very end of the book. The articles are still relevant, and it has a lot of really good information in there, and it covers so many different topics that it kind of doesn't matter how far along you are, it's got information. But I feel like as a beginner, it's kind of like bringing you in to like a conversation that all of us, regardless of how long we've been practicing, those of us 2-3 decades under our belts, 2 months, 2 weeks over here, like all of us sit down and can have a conversation with these things, and you just gently get guided in of like, hey, so let's talk about, like the one I loved, because of course I did, was the one on death, and it's like, yeah, that's a good point. Having a magical will of like, for your magical supplies, who the F is getting it? You should probably figure that out. What do you want your family to do with it? Because yeah, that's a thing you should know. And then also the practical stuff of like, do you have a will? Do you have power of attorney? All of that jazz. It's a good article, but also coming as a witch of like, hey, so we have some extra stuff. We don't have like a generic, like the Christians, where it's like, hey, this is what you do. If you're a Catholic and you die, here's the ritual. If you're Methodist and you die, here's the ritual. We have billions, probably, because every witch has at least 2 or 3 up their sleeve. So like, what do you want done specifically for you? Have that done. Have that ready. Have it easy to go for people, regardless of your age. Like, I loved that. There's so many good articles. And then it has stuff like coming out of the broom closet. Newer witches are gonna love that, because it's like, I don't know, what should I know? A lot of good information every single year. The last book that I recommend, it is a doozy. You need to plan ahead. Just buy the book, because even I struggled to get through it, and I had to pay some late fees for that one. That took a while. And that is Triumph of the Moon by Ronald Hutton. That is a mega book. It is huge. It is small print. It is like, you gotta be prepared. It's a lot. but it is a really good book to read. It is one that I think everyone should read. He goes through the history of witchcraft. It does eventually kind of teeter just towards more of like England and like the UK-ish areas, but still it is something that I think we all should read because we need to know our history from not so slanted. He comes at it from an academic, but a respectful academic. That's hard to find. And so that's one that I think everyone should read because you're gonna find the history in these books is sketchy at best. You're gonna find the information of like, Great the goddess, and that's not a thing. And you know, there's a lot of misconceptions of, you know, like, well, the people who were burned in the witch trials were obviously really witches, and you're like, or were they just outcasts? You know, it goes through a lot of the stuff in the history and really gives you a solid base of where witchcraft came from. And it's a good book. It's a lot of book. You're gonna need to plan. It's a hard one. If you're not used to reading, this is the challenge book for you, but you should definitely read it. And like, I'm gonna throw in a bonus because I can't not do that. It feels required. I write witchcraft books. So if you want to learn how to do witchcraft from me, I wrote a book. I recommend it. Like, it's how I approach it. And so I felt like it was weird to include it on the list, but it feels weird not to include it in the video. So here we are. I wrote a book, Path of a Witch. You can buy it down below. You can buy it on Amazon. One of these days I will go through the actual effort, which is a lot, to put it on like Barnes & Noble. But that's a lot. So for now, it lives on Amazon and also on Patreon if you want the audiobook. It goes up on Thursdays. You'd think I'd have that done by now, but listen, things happen. It's getting there. But yeah, this is why you gotta get it recorded before you hit publish. For any self-published authors, if you're doing that, that's what you need to do. Do it first and then hit publish. Even if you edit later, just record it first. So anyways, if you want to check out my book, I teach you how to do witchery in my ways. So yeah, always link down below. Until next time, I would love to know what books you recommend to beginners in the comments. Which ones did you read? Which ones were helpful for you? If you've read any of these, what did you think of them in the comments? And of course, a huge thank you to my patrons. If you would like to support me and get access to exclusive content, it's patreon.com/nightwillowcrafts. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I post every single day, and until next time, blessed be.